Kyoko is chosen as the class president since people find that she is kind and popular. As her classmates congratulate her, Tsuyoshi suddenly arrives, covered in injuries. The teacher checks if he's alright before asking him to introduce himself. Hiroko watches him curiously as he's assigned the desk next to hers. As she observes him, Hiroko can't help but notice how his appearance contrasts with his name. Over the next few days, Tsuyoshi keeps showing up with fresh injuries, sparking Kyoko's concern. During lunch, she vents her worries to her classmate Mei, admitting she's extremely curious about what's going on. She wonders if Tsuyoshi is a victim of bullying or even worse, domestic violence. Mei feels suspicious over Kyoko's concern but suggests they follow him after school to uncover the truth. They do just that, trailing him from a distance. Since Tsuyoshi walks normally, Mei assumes nothing dangerous is happening. Hiroko insists they keep watching, but gets distracted when she notices Mei's bow is untied. By the time she looks towards him, he's already hit his head on a tree branch. As they continue observing, they notice him bumping into things most people would avoid. They quickly conclude that Tsuyoshi isn't being bullied. The injuries are there because he's just incredibly clumsy. Still, Hiroko can't help but worry even more. Later, the two girls part ways to head home. On her way home, Kyoko notices a little girl with scraped knees and rushes over to check on her. The girl explains tearfully that she fell after almost getting hit by a bike. Hiroko takes out the first aid kit she always carries due to having younger siblings who often get hurt, and gently patches the girl up. Once she's sure the girl is fine, Kyoko lets her run off to find her mother. Just then, Tsuyoshi appears nearby. Startled, Kyoko realizes he must have noticed her and Mei following him earlier. Holding his bleeding nose, Tsuyoshi admits he felt someone watching him and decided to follow that presence, only to discover it was Kyoko. She immediately apologizes, confessing that her curiosity and concern pushed her to trail him. Inwardly, she panics, imagining how the entire student body would ridicule her if word spread that she was stalking Tsuyoshi. Certain that he now sees her as a creep, Kyoko braces for the worst. But instead, Tsuyoshi gently smiles. He tells her he finds her kindness and worry touching and explains that his countless injuries are simply the result of his clumsiness. He bids her farewell, leaving Kyoko staring blankly into space, stunned that he called her kind. Even when she returns home to her siblings, she's still bewildered. To her, what she did was simply normal. She goes about her routine in an odd daze as she thinks of Tsuyoshi. Before turning off the lights in her siblings' room, she notices that she had caught Tsuyoshi's nosebleed. The next day, Hiroko checks in on Tsuyoshi and learns he made one of his finger injuries worse by jamming it into something. Out of curiosity, she asks if he's ever caught a cold. Tsuyoshi beams as he replies that he's never had one in his life, though he admits he gets injured often. Hiroko thinks it's an odd thing to be proud about, but Hiroko notices fresh blood trickling from his forehead and alerts him. Tsuyoshi realizes it must have been from when he hit a signboard on his way to school. He excuses himself to head to the nurse's office, and Kyoko follows out of worry. On the way, she fails to notice a group of boys about to bump into her. Luckily, Tsuyoshi sees it coming and quickly pulls her toward him. Realizing how close he's holding her, he immediately lets go and apologizes. As he picks up his dropped handkerchief, Tsuyoshi remarks that he doesn't mind getting hurt, as long as the people around him stay safe. He assures her not to worry since he's sturdy enough to take a little pain. But this doesn't ease Kyoko's concern. Later, she confides in Mei, who brushes it off, telling her to focus on more important things like their upcoming tests. Yet as Mei listens to how much Tsuyoshi occupies Kyoko's thoughts, she comes to the conclusion that Kyoko must have a crush on him. The words make Kyoko freeze, as if she's only now realizing her own feelings. The following morning, Tsuyoshi greets her first, and to Kyoko's surprise, he has no new injuries. She studies his face closely, noticing how clear and handsome his features look without being hidden behind bandages. Her cheeks heat up, and out of embarrassment, she suddenly blurts out that their class needs to attend an assembly during first period, and they should line by the hallway. For the rest of the day, Kyoko is in a daze. Even when she returns home, her mind is restless, and she ends up unable to sleep a single wink. When she admits this to Mei, her friend is shocked that it took her so long to realize her feelings. Kyoko hurriedly tells her to keep quiet because no one else can know. She can't help but wonder how to act around Tsuyoshi now, especially since she feels shyer every time he's near. As classes begin, Hiroko notices Tsuyoshi is absent and wonders if he might have finally caught a cold. But when he fails to show up for several days, she begins to worry. Even Mei remarks that his absence feels unusual. Kyoko wants to check on him at home, but she doesn't know where he lives or even how to contact him. One afternoon, while returning her class's workbooks to the faculty room, Kyoko finds the teacher too busy on the phone to acknowledge her. As she waits, she overhears the teacher asking about Tsuyoshi, who is apparently in the hospital. When she hears the words truck involvement, the color drains from her face. Panic seizes her and she bolts from school, sprinting straight to the nearest hospital. Out of breath and dragging her feet, she heads to the receptionist to inquire about his room, only to spot Tsuyoshi standing right beside her, sporting even more injuries than usual. They sit together, and Tsuyoshi explains that he was nearly hit by a truck, but managed to run fast enough to avoid it. Unfortunately, he couldn't stop in time and ended up crashing straight into a wall. He reassures her that he's only in the hospital for some final medical examinations and that he'll be cleared to return to school tomorrow. Overcome with relief, Kyoko lightly teases him, asking if he managed to injure his usual finger as well. When he confirms it, she bursts out laughing. Tsuyoshi admits he's happy she skipped class just to check on him, causing Kyoko to freeze in realization at her own actions. He then asks if she can give him tomorrow's class schedule, since his phone was crushed in the accident and he has no way to contact anyone. Kyoko's shoulders begin to shake with laughter again, leaving Tsuyoshi staring at her with curious eyes. From that day forward, the two steadily grow closer. One morning, Kyoko notices a new bandage on the back of his neck and asks about it. Tsuyoshi sheepishly explains that he simply slept wrong and now has a stiff neck, making it hard to turn his head. Even though Tsuyoshi insists she doesn't need to hold back from talking to him, Kyoko feels guilty, worrying that he only sees her as a seatmate and nothing more. During break, she vents her frustration to Mei. Mei reassures her that she and Tsuyoshi already seem like good friends, but adds that there's still a tall wall between them. The words strike deeper than Mei intended. As Kyoko watches Tsuyoshi cleaning the board, she realizes just how naturally kind and friendly he is to everyone and realizes that there is a wall preventing them from becoming closer. As Kyoko observes Tsuyoshi throughout the day, she notices he seems to prefer keeping to himself rather than hanging out with others. Standing at the shoe lockers, she feels disheartened, wondering if she can ever break down the invisible wall between them. On her walk home, she spots Tsuyoshi walking a few paces ahead and remembers the sad expression he wore when he spoke of being fine on his own. Over the weekend, Kyoko suddenly declares in front of her siblings and Mei that she wants to become good friends with Tsuyoshi. Mei, however, looks unimpressed as she listens to Kyoko's reasoning. Kyoko explains that she wants Tsuyoshi to feel at ease around her, rather than constantly worrying that she might get hurt. As she wonders how to make that happen, her younger brother Subina tugs too hard on the bag of chips Mei is holding, spilling them all over the room. Mei only gives him a playful knock on the head before turning back to Kyoko, insisting she'll need a proper plan as she wants to get closer to Tsuyoshi. The next day, Kyoko tries their first strategy, eating a bunch of homemade cookies in front of Tsuyoshi, hoping it will tempt him to start a conversation. But before he can even ask for one, their classmates swarm around, begging for cookies. As the class happily digs in, Kyoko prepares to hand Tsuyoshi the bag, hoping this gesture will be the first step to breaking down his wall. But before she gets the chance, Mei urgently tells her that every cookie has already been eaten by their classmates. Mei barely managed to taste one herself, while Haruto happily announced that he ate 2 bags. Kyoko, however, is too preoccupied with her failed plan, silently swearing in her heart that she will find a way to break through Tsuyoshi's wall. She moves on to the next strategy by announcing she forgot her textbook. As expected, Tsuyoshi immediately offers to share his book and moves to slide his desk next to hers. But in the process, he accidentally jams his fingers, earning yet another injury. Though Kyoko continues to try, each attempt at getting closer only seems to leave Tsuyoshi more battered. Eventually, she finds herself at an empty staircase, feeling utterly defeated. She begins to think that fate is against her because her presence is only causing Tsuyoshi more injuries. Tsuyoshi notices Kyoko sitting on the stairs and walks over to check if she's alright. Flustered, she quickly composes herself and instead asks about his injuries. Tsuyoshi reassures her that they're all fine. Feeling guilty, Kyoko panics when he turns to leave. Without thinking, she tugs on his uniform collar, accidentally popping off 2 of his buttons. Embarrassed, she hurriedly apologizes for all her unnecessary actions that caused his injuries and now for ruining his uniform. Tsuyoshi feels an odd warmth at her frantic honesty. Though if he tries to hold it back, he eventually bursts into laughter, telling her that the buttons popping off were actually a funny surprise. As Kyoko watches him laugh, she notices how sloppily his finger bandages are wrapped, most likely because the nurse wasn't around. An idea sparks and she asks Tsuyoshi to let her treat his injuries instead. Showing him her small first aid kit, she proudly claims she's the best at patching people up. Though surprised, Tsuyoshi agrees and gives his hand to Kyoko. Kyoko carefully rewraps the bandages, making them neat and secure. After being satisfied with her work, she admits she wants to be good friends with him, but wonders aloud what else she can do for him besides tending to his injuries. Tsuyoshi stares at her in shock, and Kyoko realizes too late that her words sounded dangerously close to a confession. Softening, he gently smiles back, saying it feels nice to be cared for so deeply by her. He admits that what he truly wants is a normal high school life, where he can hang out with friends and enjoy after-school activities like everyone else. Moved, Kyoko's eyes well with tears. She declares that they'll live their high school lives to the fullest together. Smiling, Tsuyoshi then adds that her cookies were delicious, leaving Kyoko stunned since she thought he never got the chance to try them. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss new episodes every week.